Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the darkness, back into the woods, and right into the heart of one of the most anticipated horror films of the year, The Strangers. Chapter 3. If you thought chapters 1 and 2 were relentless, you need to buckle up, because what we're about to discuss takes the franchise's signature dread to a whole new level. This isn't just about jump scares anymore. This is a masterclass in psychological unraveling. So, grab your comfort blanket, lock your doors, and let's break down the terrifying finale of this new trilogy. First, let's set the stage. Chapter 2 left us on a razor's edge. Maya, battered and broken, but miraculously alive, had just endured the initial onslaught. We saw her escape the immediate confines of the Airbnb, only to find herself lost in the vast, unforgiving Oregon wilderness. The physical threat was one thing, but Chapter 3 immediately shifts the focus. It's no longer just about surviving the night, it's about surviving her own mind. The film opens with the haunting quietness. The forest is both a potential sanctuary and a prison. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig, isn't just a sound, it's a question. Are they Tabak? Are they watching? Or is it just the paranoia setting in? This is where director Renny Harlin truly excels. He uses the expansive, yet claustrophobic, setting of the woods to mirror Maya's internal state. The tall, imposing trees feel like the bars of a cage, and the dense fog that rolls and acts as a physical manifestation of her confusion and fear. We spend a significant portion of the film's first act just with Maya, alone. There's minimal dialogue. Instead, the storytelling is purely visual and auditory. We hear her ragged breathing, the frantic beating of her heart. We see the terror in Madeleine Petch's eyes, and she delivers an absolutely powerhouse performance. You feel every ounce of her exhaustion, her desperation, and the flickering, fragile flame of her will to live. The psychological horror in Chapter 3 is a slow burn, but it's incredibly effective. The film plays with our expectations and Maya's. She finds what appears to be an abandoned hunter's cabin. Is it a safe haven or another trap? The relief she feels is palpable, but it's short-lived. The cabin is filled with unsettling objects, old photographs, dusty furniture, a single rocking chair that seems to move on its own. The film masterfully blurs the line between what is real and what is a product of Maya's trauma-induced psychosis. She starts seeing things, hearing whispers. Is Dollface lurking in the shadows, or is it a hallucination? Is that the shape of the man in the mask by the window, or just a trick of the moonlight? This uncertainty is the core of the terror. As an audience, we are put directly into her shoes. We are as disoriented as she is. We question everything we see. The strangers themselves become almost supernatural entities in this chapter. They're less like physical people and more like phantoms, embodiments of random, motiveless evil. Their presence is felt long before they are seen. A doll left on a doorstep, the word hello scrawled in the dust on a window pane, a child's swing creaking in the distance. These small, innocuous things become symbols of impending doom. They are experts at psychological warfare, breaking their victim down mentally before they ever lay a hand on them. The theme of isolation is pushed to its absolute limit. In the first film, the couple was isolated in a house. Here, Maya is isolated in the vastness of nature, which is somehow even more terrifying. There's no one to call, nowhere to run where they can't find her. The film brutally reminds us that even in a world of billions, you can be utterly, terrifyingly alone. This isolation forces Maya to confront her deepest fears and her own resilience. We see flashbacks, not just of her time with Ryan, but of her life before. It paints a picture of a woman who has always been a survivor, but this is her ultimate test. Her struggle becomes a primal one. It's her against them, her will to live against their desire to destroy. The sound design deserves special mention. It's a character in itself. The silence is often more frightening than the noise. When the score swells, you brace for impact. But it's the moments of dead quiet, where all you can hear is the wind or Maya's own breathing, that are the most suspenseful. You're waiting for the inevitable, and the film makes you wait, stretching the tension until it's almost unbearable. And then, the silence is shattered, not by a scream, but by a simple, quiet knock. Is Temra home? The iconic line is back, but this time it's not a question. It's a statement. It's a declaration that they are here. They know she's here, and the game is back on. The third act is a relentless, brutal, and heart-pounding chase through the forest and back to the remnants of civilization. Maya, fueled by a surge of adrenaline and a desperate need to not just survive but to fight back, uses her environment to her advantage. She sets traps. She uses the terrain to hide. It's a complete reversal from the terrified victim we saw at the beginning. This is Maya, the warrior. She's no longer just prey. She's fighting for her life with every fiber of her being. The confrontations with the strangers are visceral and raw. The choreography is less like a slick action sequence and more like a desperate, ugly struggle for survival. Every blow feels real. Every injury matters. We get closer to the strangers than ever before, physically. In a frantic struggle, Maya manages to wound Scarecrow and even briefly unmask Dollface. But the film smartly resists the urge to give us answers. The face she sees is nothing. It's a plain, unremarkable face. There's no monstrous identity, no grand explanation. And that is the point. They are nobody. They are anybody. The horror comes from their anonymity, their lack of motive. It reinforces the terrifying answer to the question, why are you doing this? Because you were home, or in this case, because you were there. The randomness of it is the most chilling part of all. They are a force of nature, like a hurricane or an earthquake. Te, who's are? And that brings us to the cliffhanger. Oh, that cliffhanger. Just when you think it's over, when you think Maya has finally reached safety, the film pulls the rug out from under you one last time. Maya makes it to a road. A car stops. It seems like a miracle. A kind-looking couple offers her a ride, wrapping her in a blanket, telling her she's safe now. She collapses in the back seat, relieved, exhausted, finally able to let her guard down. The camera holds on her face as she closes her eyes. The car drives on, and then the driver turns on the radio. A familiar, jaunty, old-timey song begins to play. The same song we heard playing on the record player in the Airbnb. Maya's eyes snap open. She looks at the driver in the rearview mirror. Just smiles. He's wearing a familiar-looking mask, hidden in plain sight. And in the passenger seat, the woman turns, her face obscured by shadows. But we know. We just know. The screen cuts to black. What does this mean? The implications are staggering. Are the strangers not just a small group, but a wider network? A cult? Are they everywhere? Hiding among us, waiting for their next opportunity. This ending completely recontextualizes the entire franchise. It suggests that this isn't just about a single family of killers, but something far more organized and widespread. It transforms the story from a home invasion thriller into a conspiracy horror. The terror is no longer confined to a single location. It's everywhere. The people who are supposed to help you could be part of it. The safe places are no longer safe. The strangers. Chapter Trace is a bold, terrifying, and thought-provoking conclusion to the trilogy. It honors the legacy of the original while pushing the mythology into a frightening new direction. It's a film that will stick with you long after the credits roll, making you look twice at every shadow, making you question every friendly face. It's a stark reminder that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones that look just like us. It leaves us with so many questions and an ending that will be debated by horror fans for years to come. What did you all think of that final twist? Let me know your theories down in the comments below. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Stay safe out there. If part 1 was about tension, part 2 is about survival. Because once the lights go out, there's no more guessing. There inside, we continue the breakdown of the strangers. Chapter 3, and this is where everything shifts. Total darkness. The power doesn't just flicker. It dies. Pitch black. The only light left is the shaking beam of a flashlight. Every creak of the floor sounds louder. Every breath feels exposed. The survivor whispers, "This isn't real. This isn't real." But then, a chair scrapes across the kitchen floor. Slowly, deliberately. Not hidden, not rushed. They want to be heard. The first attack, without warning. A window shatters. Glass explodes inward. The man in the mask steps through slowly, like he's entering his own home. No sprinting. No yelling. Just calm. The survivor runs upstairs. Footsteps follow, not fast. Measured. That's what makes it terrifying. They're not afraid. They rein control. Psychological torture escalates instead of immediate violence. They play with the space. Kitchen cabinets open and slam shut downstairs. Music turns on by itself, an old record spinning a distorted love song. Dollface appears at the top of the staircase, just standing there. There's a long 18-second shot where nothing happens. She just tilts her head slightly, and you realize something chilling. They're enjoying this. The dinner scene most disturbing sequence. This is the moment that defines Chapter 3. The survivor wakes up tied to a chair. A dim overhead light swings gently. A dinner table is set. 3 plates, 3 glasses. The masked killers sit across. Silent. They don't scream. They don't threaten. They just watch. The man in the mask slowly pours water into a glass and slides it across the table. An act of mock kindness. This scene isn't about violence. It's about humiliation. Power. Control. It lasts almost 3 full minutes, with almost no dialogue. And that silence becomes suffocating. Breaking point, something shifts. Instead of begging, the survivor stares back. No tears. No screaming. Just hunger. When Dollface leans in close, the survivor suddenly kicks the table over. Chaos erupts. Glass shatters. Chairs flip. The light swings violently. This is the turning point. The victim stops being prey. The fight back, what makes this chapter different from earlier films like The Strangers, is that this time the survivor fights. Kitchen knife grabbed. Fire extinguisher used as a weapon. Boiling water thrown in. So there's a brutal confrontation in the hallway. The survivor stabs one of the attackers in the shoulder. Blood drips onto the floor. For the first time, we see weakness. The killers bleed. And suddenly, they feel human. Basement confrontation. The chase moves downstairs. Tight. Camera angles. Claustrophobic. Framing. The man in the mask corners the survivor near the furnace. Heavy breathing echoes in the confined space. He lunges. A struggle. The survivor grabs a screwdriver and drives it into his side. Once. Twice. 3 times. He collapses. The mask cracks slightly. But here's the detail that matters. The camera never reveals his face. We don't get closure, and that's intentional. Sirens in the distance. Police sirens begin echoing faintly outside. The remaining attackers retreat. Not in panic, but calmly. Like this was only phase 1. The survivor crawls toward the front door. Blood everywhere. The house destroyed. The night feels endless. But it's not over, because part 3 changes everything. And a part 2 CTA. Retention strategy. If you think this was the worst of it, wait until you see what happens in the final 15 minutes. Because the ending of this film doesn't just close the story, it opens something darker. Part 3 Ending Explained is where the real horror begins. Make sure you subscribe, because what that final mask moment means, most people completely missed it. And trust me, if you've made it this far, you already know this isn't just another horror movie. This is the final descent into fear. And now we reach the ending of The Strangers, Chapter 3. But what happens next changes how we understand the entire franchise. False safety police lights flash outside the destroyed house. Red and blue reflections move across broken walls. Officers rush in. Flashlights scanning every corner. The survivor is found barely conscious, covered in blood, shaking, unable to speak. For the first time in the film, we hear normal human voices again. Stay with me. You're safe now. Safe. That word feels almost strange after everything we've seen. Silence. After chaos, the killers are gone. One body is recovered in the basement. Another trail of blood leads into the forest but disappears. No arrests. No answers. Just questions. The camera lingers on the destroyed home. Chairs overturned. Broken glass everywhere. The dinner table still half set. Evidence of terror, but no explanation. The ambulance scene, the survivor is placed into an ambulance. Doors close. The engine starts. For the first time, soft music begins playing. It feels like a resolution. Like the nightmare is finally ending. A paramedic asks gently, "Do you know why they did this?" The survivor whispers, "No." And that single word connects back to the core theme of the franchise. There was never a motive. The final shot as the ambulance drives away. The camera slowly pulls back. Wide shot. Quiet road, early morning fog rolling across the ground. Near the edge of the driveway, something lies in the grass. A mask. Dollface's mask. Abandoned. Forgotten. Or so it seems. Wind blows softly. Leaves move. Then, a shadow enters frame. We don't see the face. We don't hear footsteps. Just a hand reaching down, picking up the mask. Cut to black. No scream. No music hit. Just silence. And unexplained. The real meaning, most viewers think this ending sets up another sequel. But it's deeper than that. The strangers were never meant to be individuals. They are an idea, a symbol of random violence. Unlike typical horror villains, they don't seek revenge. They don't have tragic backstories. They exist because fear exists. Anyone can wear the mask. Anyone can become the stranger. And that's why the horror never ends. Psychological interpretations, his final chapter suggests something terrifying. Evil doesn't disappear. It transfers. The masks represent anonymity. The loss of identity. When someone wears it, they stop being human. They become fear itself. That's why the film never reveals faces, because the killers could be anyone. Even someone ordinary, even someone watching. Cinematic style breakdown, director choices in Chapter 3. Focus on realism. Natural lighting instead of dramatic horror filters, long uncut shots. Building anxiety, minimal soundtrack. Creating discomfort. Silence used as a weapon. The film wants you to feel like a witness, not an audience. And that realism makes every moment heavier. Why this ending works: most horror movies give closure. This one refuses. Because real fear doesn't end neatly. The police arrive. The victim survives. But the threat remains. And that lingering uncertainty stays with you long after the credits roll. Final verdict, USA reviewer style. Is this the scariest movie ever made? Maybe not. But psychologically, it might be one of the most unsettling conclusions to a horror trilogy.